Reimagining the past, celebrating the future is brought to you with the compliments of Great Healthworks, agents for Omega XL.
As was done in our region, the Europeans also colonized the African continent. Subsequent to that, African states gained political independence and set out on a path of self-determination. On May the 25th, 1963, 30 of those independent states signed a special agreement that established the Organization of African Unity. Having been established, it was one of the foremost important Pan-African groups on the continent. Its goal was the unification of the African people and people of African descent. That goal is also being pursued today by a number of organizations across the world. As descendants of Africans, we celebrate Africa Day on May 25th annually in Barbados. Barbadians are encouraged to be part of the many events that call attention to the significance of the day. In 2023, two notable events were organized by the Division of Culture. These events formed part of the overall season of emancipation. I'm Rashid Best. Thanks for joining us. A major feature of African culture, and certainly ours, is the transfer of information from generation to generation through storytelling and oral tradition. Our National Library Service, in recognition of the importance of educating our people about our African heritage, organized the Africa Day Story Hour. This was an interesting event which enlightened young Barbadians about African culture. Here are John Downs of the Library Service and Rodney Grant of the Division of Culture. They discussed the importance of teaching young Barbadians about our African heritage.
The United Nations established certain days to be celebrated. Africa Day is one such of those important days. We at the National Library Service recognize the importance of Africa Day. So we decided that that was one of the days that we would highlight.
Let me go back to why we felt that the story day was important in the first place, because it was really about oral history and storytelling. Storytelling is part of our oral history. And over, through centuries, even coming from the enslaved in Africa, this is how history would have been passed on. This is how stories would have been told. This is how moral persuasion would have been passed on to children.
The African tradition of storytelling is integral to the continuation of their history and their way of life. Children will be taught the importance of storytelling to African culture.
We felt that not enough stories are being told to our children that give them a sense of grounding again in terms of who they are and in terms of a lot of the moral grounding, particularly because African stories in particular have a lot of moral direction to them, and therefore we felt that this was important. And also because children need to read and need to be exposed to reading, especially in this age when technology seems to be the main focus of our youth.
We invited 10 primary schools from across the country, 25 children from each school. The schools invited were Hangsbury Primary, Belmont Primary, Charles F. Room Memorial, Deacons Primary, Eagle Hall Primary, the Gordon Greenwich Primary School, the Sealer Primary School, St. Joseph Primary School, Elliot Belger Primary School, and Elton Primary School. The objectives are to inform and educate our children on their African heritage and culture, building their self-esteem and imparting a sense of pride and self-worth in who they are and their history as children of African descent.
Because they have to have that respect for African people and the African nation. And when you look at media, most of the stories they tell about Africa is negative. And therefore, our children must be able to turn around that narrative. And the best way to turn around that narrative is to build connections. So like in the old days when you used to have pen pals, this is a different way of doing it. Now they can connect and they can use the technology in a more positive way. They can have techno pen pals, if you want to call it that. So yeah.
We do this in a number of ways. We do this by introducing to African dance, African drumming. African culture is a way of life. It includes the dance, the way the people dance, what they eat, the clothes they wear, how they socialize. So it's important for us as African people, and especially as African children, to learn about the ways of life of our African brothers and sisters. That is why we included an educational aspect of the program, as well as entertainment.
This is pilau. It is from the Swahili community. It is made from condiments, rice, and meat. Fry the onions and let them cook. Add the meat and let it cook. Add the condiments and spices. Stir the ingredients. Add the rice and water. Let it simmer. When the pilau is ready, you can now serve it.
The children were able to sample authentic African cuisine. In terms of the modeling, they were exposed to authentic African prints. Not only the African prints, but what they mean.
I just want to tell you briefly about the dresses you see here on your screens. The dresses basically are meant to represent the various regions we have in Ghana. So right here, these first two individuals, they have their clothing from the Ashanti and the Eastern region. The next two have theirs from the Volta region. So basically, there are some forms of similarities within their clothing. And we have this one here from the Eastern region. We have others back here. These two gentlemen have theirs. This is the contemporary clothing we have now in Ghana. So we use our African prints, merge it up with some other fabrics, and we're able to come up with these unique fabrics.
From Great Healthworks, the makers of Omega XL, comes Strong Heart. It's a natural dietary supplement made with omega-7 and contains beneficial fatty acids which promote a healthy heart. A clinical study has shown that the ingredient in Strong Heart helps maintain 4 important biomarkers for heart health. Rely on your strong heart every day, because we all know our finest moments are still to come. Help take good care of your heart with Strong Heart. Call now or visit your local pharmacy and health food stores today.
Africans wear certain clothes for certain events. So it's important that our children understand the importance and difference when they're talking about or when they're expressing themselves in their African dress. We have Africa Day celebrated here in Barbados throughout the schools for the longest time. So it's important that they have a sense of what they're wearing and why they're wearing it.
First, we have Elijah Lane and Navia Blackman. They both go to school at Charles F. Brooms, and today they will be wearing brown, dark brown and light brown, and their symbol is a leaf. This African-inspired material and this outfit was made by Ann Cox, and Ann Cox is formerly known as Nana. Let's give it up for Elijah, Don Baraka, and Navia Blackman. Let's give it up for Elijah Lane, Navia Blackman, Charles F. Room students, our little roots models. Next we have Zaria Bourne, another Charles F. Room student. Today she's wearing orange with splashes of black. We think that they call this one batik. Zaria's outfit is made by Ann Cox. Ann Cox is also known as Nana. Zaria Bourne, Charles F. Brooms, Little Roots model. Next on stage. Next on stage we have Anaya. Anaya Austin, she's our Little Roots model. She's representing Grisette's Primary School. This green, white, dark gray, and black print was made by Phase 2 Fashion. Give it up for Anaya Austin, our Little Roots model. Next we have Lachey Beth Maynard. Lachey Beth Maynard goes to school at St. Stephen's Nursery School. Her outfit was made by B. Joy, Joy Workman Production. Following Lachey, we have Roshana Boyce. Roshana Boyce is wearing the same print with different birds, a dovetail dress. And Roshana's outfit was also made by B. Joy, Joy Workman's Production. Roshana goes to school at Hinesbury Primary School. Let's give it up for Roshana Boyce. Next on stage, we have Ivy. Ivy Phillips goes to school at Deacon's Primary School. She's our Little Roots model. And today, Ivy is representing herself and her brother Ajani, who cannot make it with us today. Next on stage, we have Nyla and Ava. Nyla and Ava Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, they both go to school at West Terrace Primary School, and they are also two of our Little Roots models. Let's give it up for the twins, Ava and Nyla Johnson. Next on stage, we have a little tribute. This is Africa meets Barbados, the stars of Africa. Elijah Lane, Liam Rollins. Elijah goes to Charles F. Brooms, mentioned before. Liam goes to school at Welch's Primary School. They are wearing the red, the yellow, and the black and green to represent the colors of Africa. Coming through representing Barbados, a shooting Bajan star, a Mary Roller. He is representing Barbados, Charles F. Brooms, and he is our smallest Little Roots model. Give it up for our models, boys and girls. Stars of Barbados meets the star of Africa. Boys and girls, it's time to see them all back on stage singly. Let's give it up. Here goes Navia. Ivy Phillips. Rashona Boyce. Lashea Beth Maynard. Liam Rawlings. Amari Roller. The Barbados Shooting Star, the African Stars, our Little Roots Models, Elijah Lane, Nyla Johnson, Zaria Bourne, Anaya Austin, and our last Little Roots model, let's give it up for Ava Johnson. That was the Little Roots model in the casual segment.
So, Worry is one of the oldest African games, and you cannot talk about African culture without talking about Worry. So we had exponents of Worry, one Ghanaian and one local, to explain to the children and to demonstrate the game of Worry, and also taught them about the history of the game of Worry.
Worry is just a game board, but a very important one indeed within the context of African culture. It is a game that is played by two people, and the name Owari is a term in Akan. Akan is an ethnic group, and they speak various languages. And the Ashantis called it Owari because it's about a young person, a man and a woman who were playing the game. And they were so into the game such that they thought that they should marry so that they can be together, so that they can play the game on ending. So the whole concept of Owari means marriage. Owari. And now Wawari, marriage. And you cannot trace this to a particular timeline. I mean, you cannot place it within a particular timeline because this is something that has been played since antiquity, and is usually played between two people. There could be more people playing at the same time. Seated under a tree and playing, two people to a game, and there'll be observers who would be observing and passing commentary on what is happening. And the game itself is tactical because it involves a lot of thinking, because you need to calculate to be able to know where you have to play to be able to collect. sort of a winning.
Does your stomach flare up when you eat certain foods? Do you experience bloating, gas, cramps, constipation, or irregularities? Then you are not alone. Probiotic XL is unique and is scientifically formulated. It supports healthy digestive and immune functions. Probiotic XL can help fix the way you feel. It helps your body back to a healthy balance. Available from pharmacies and health stores island-wide. Pick yours up today and get back to feeling great again.
Only a few of them were just excited and asked questions. But I think that the whole concept of it being like a sort of a calculation that taxes the mind of a curious child is what got them excited.
The story hour was basically an interactive session among the children from Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, and all children here in Barbados in real time. They were given the opportunity to ask questions about life in Africa from the children's perspective, and the African children were able to ask all Barbadian children about life here in Barbados from the child's perspective. And we find that that was very, very important because children relate to each other in a way that we adults cannot relate to them.
On top of my mind, what I can say is that there is a connection between Barbados and Ghana. And that is not too obvious to too many people. So I was thinking that in order to keep that connection, relationship alive, this is a way to do that by introducing some of the cultural traditions of Ghana into Barbados. The reason why I say that there's a connection is that you can trace in the history of slavery, you can trace some of the slave ships moving straight from Accra or Elmina to Barbados, where some of the slaves were offloaded here and worked in the plantations. So you can say that there's a direct sort of connection between Barbados and Ghana through these slave trade.
Why connecting with Africa? Because oral history is, it's the bedrock of African civilization. This is how they passed on information from generation to generation. And also because we want to make the reconnection. Our government at the highest level in terms of policy direction is making that reconnect with Africa. Is moving, not that we're totally moving away from the global north, but we're also reconnecting with our brothers just across the Atlantic from us. And we feel this is important. Africa is the biggest civilization. And therefore, for us to be able to not only build out an economy, but to reconnect make those social connections between the African children and our children is absolutely important because they have a story to tell to each other.
What is Kenya's national dish? My name is Maya. Kenya has a variety of dishes, but the main dish here in Kenya is mostly ugali from the Luya community, pilau from the Swahili community, and mokimo from the Kikuyu community. Thank you.
That was a great answer. Thank you very much. Now, can you all tell us a bit about what school life is like here in Nairobi?
Well, my friend here, Andrew, would like me to help him answer this question. School life here in Kenya varies. We study a system known as CBC, which stands for which stands for competency-based curriculum. So we study various subjects, languages, which consists of English and Swahili and an optional French. We also do mathematics and also integrated science, which has science itself, science and technology, agriculture, home science, and also we have PhD in terms of physical health education. Next, we come to creative arts, where we have SST, which stands for social studies, and we have religious educations, and then to have arts and crafts and music.
Do you also name some of the activities held during school time?
We have basketball, soccer, swimming, volleyball, chess, and a new activity, robotics and STEM. Those are some very interesting activities.
Yeah, it's just to keep the relationship alive, because at the event, through the power of technology, we're able to connect with different African states. Yeah, it is just to keep, I think, it is just to keep that relationship alive. And it is important because we are all the same. As Peter Touch may have said, that once you are black, you are an African. So that is it. And it's a good idea that we always remain connected. And if this is what can bring us together, so be it.
Rashid, you keep asking me about if these ideas are my idea. I appreciate the question. However, what I would like you to understand, and the public to understand, and the library staff to understand, is that I am because we are. And when I say we, I mean the National Library Service. So basically, you're talking about I am because we are National Library Service.
We feel that this Under the Kazaruni Tree, which is really an initiative of the National Library Service, was really important. And it has become, in our discussions this year, in our reflection of the season, we decided that it's going to be one of the flagship activities under the season of emancipation. One, because it focuses on children, and two, because it makes that reconnect with the African homeland.
Indeed, it is worthy of being a permanent fixture in the calendar of events during the season, organized by the Library Service to celebrate our African heritage and to educate the future of Barbados. The spirit of the Season of Emancipation continues to be exemplified by the Division of Culture. I'm Rashid Best. Join us next week at the same time for another episode of Reimagining the Past, Celebrating the Future.
Reimagining the Past, Celebrating the Future was brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.